knew that's what you were going to hear when you got up this morning, huh? It's awesome. It's awesome. And you're awesome and magnificent. I guess it's awesome. It's amazing. It's incredible. I love it. I love it. You love me too? Oh, it feels so good. It feels so good. It feels so good. Well, last week, were you here last week? Anybody here last week? We were talking from this book by Don Miguel Ruiz called The Four Agreements. And this week, I'm going to continue. We've been in a class together, some of us, and we've been talking about these agreements. And, you know, it's one of these timeless books, even people who aren't in the class, but they have it on their shelf. I said last week, you know, some of the people have actually taken it off their shelf, which is amazing, wonderful, exciting. But Don Miguel says this. He says, all of the sadness and drama in our lives is rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. All of the sadness and drama in our lives is rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. And we do that. We do that. We make assumptions and take things personally. Even though we know, having come to unity, that we have the power in our minds to either make assumptions or not make assumptions, to take things personally or not take things personally. We have the power to decide if we're going to do that. And yet we still do decide a lot of times to take things personally. But if we don't, if we decide not to, and we combine it with what I talked about last week, which is being impeccable with your word, with not speaking ill against yourself, then we can eliminate all the drama and sadness in our life. Do you think we can?
Yes.
Do you think it's possible?
Yes.
Are you in or are you out?
I'm in.
Are you in? All right. We know it, but we don't always live it, do we? We know it, but we don't always live it. You know, it's hard sometimes to not take things personally when people are right up in our face, isn't it? They're right up in our face, and they're shouting, and they're glaring, and they're rolling their eyes, and they're having that nasty look and pursed lips, right? It's hard not to take things personally sometimes when we can feel their poison of sarcasm and indifference and judgment and attitude. Or right in front of us. Or we see it in their body language, like they really don't care. They really don't have time for us, and what we have to say is not important. You know, it feels very personal, doesn't it? It feels very personal when we are in that position. But Ruiz says the reason it feels personal is because that we take it personally. We take the poison, we eat the emotional garbage, and we feel offended. That's what happens. We take their poison, we eat the emotional garbage, and then we get offended. And when we get offended, we usually have two ways of reacting or acting when we feel offended. We either want to defend our position. Anybody recognize that? We either want to defend our position or we want to retreat. We want to back off. We want to go into ourselves. We want to go away. We want to hide. You know, when we feel offended, we want to jump in there and we want to show that other person that they're wrong. You know, that we want to show that, we want to prove that we're right. We want to argue and explain and convince and persuade that, no, that's really not the way it is. We want to defend ourselves. And in our defense, we end up accusing them. We end up belittling them, and we end up judging them. We try really hard to be right by making the other person wrong. And sometimes, we like to line up a bunch of people behind us who agree with exactly what we're saying. Because if there's a bunch of us that think this way, surely we are right and they are wrong. All right? Because we got a whole gaggle of people behind us saying, yeah, you're right, yeah. We try to defend ourselves when we feel offended, when we're taking things personally. Or we tend to retreat, right? We tend to retreat and we get small. And we back off. And we tend to start doing exactly what I talked about last week not doing, which is we are not in any sense impeccable with our word. We go to that place of, oh, I really am not good enough. I really don't matter. What I have to say is not important. We go to that place, and that puts us on that spiral down, all because we're taking it personally. Do you hear what I'm saying? And some of us in that retreating, we don't talk to ourselves that way, but we talk about the other person that way, and we seethe with resentment. Him and such and so did this and that, and boy, they're so terrible to me. Poor me. We stay in that victim place. Well, I want you to hear this loud and clear from the 4 agreements. This one thing that will help us turn the corner on this kind of taking things personally, and that is this: nothing anybody else does is because of you. Nothing anybody else does, anybody else says, anybody else doesn't do, anybody else doesn't say is because of you. Nothing. If you're in a long-distance relationship with someone, you're the one that's always calling and they call you back. If you're the one that loves somebody else and they love you back, if you do something really good and you're recognized for it, if I teach a class and somebody transforms their life, it's not about us. None of that is about you. None of it. None of that is about you. If you're always the one making the phone calls and they don't call you back, if you're always the one putting out love and you don't get any back, if you're always the one that does this great job but you never get recognized, if I teach 10 classes or 1 and nobody transforms their life, it isn't because of you or me. None of it is because of you or me. None of it. Even if your children grow up to be really successful or struggle their entire lives, it's not because of you. It's because of the agreements that we each have made. It's because of our personal BS, our personal belief system. Okay? It's what we believe. It's what we believe about how life works. It's what we believe about what's fair and not fair, what justice is. It's what we believe about God and religion and marriage and politics. It's what we expect other people to do and how we expect them to treat us. And it's all there in our belief system. It's all there. Ruiz calls it our book of law. It's where we operate from. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of the Unity Movement, calls it our subconscious mind. It's where all of our experiences and all of our beliefs and all of our emotions about those beliefs lie within us. And Reverend Russell Highland, who used to preach here, calls it our BS, our belief system. And we all operate from this place within us. We all operate from this place. And so if somebody says something that hurts us, so if somebody says something that we take offense to, Ruiz says it's because it's hitting something. It's hitting a tender spot in us. It's hitting something that maybe needs to be healed. Maybe needs some attention. Are you hearing that? Because nothing anybody else does is because of you. It's because of your belief system, your book of law, your subconscious mind, the repository of all life experiences, beliefs, understandings, your truths about how life is and how it should work. And we carry this stuff around with us all the time. We carry it around with us. It's how we operate in the world. So, let's look a little bit at that. What do you think? Let's think, what kind of things are you carrying? What kind of things are you carrying? Because if we are carrying things that are less than, we subject ourselves to the poison that other people throw at us. Let's look at some of those things. So the question is, what's in the bag? Right? What's in the bag? Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look. So I'm wondering, if you are carrying this belief with you, anybody have this one in your bag? Life is not fair. Life is not fair. Or, a very close one next to it is, life is hard. So if you believe this about life and people start throwing poison at you, it sticks to you. It's not running anywhere. You're taking it all in because this is the bag you're carrying with you. This is what you believe, part of your belief system. Yeah? What about this one? Have you been told this, or have you accepted this as your truth? I'm stupid. I am stupid. Or how about this one? Nobody loves me. Is that in your bag? Is that in your bag? If this is in your bag, can you see if someone starts spewing poison at you, if someone tells you that what you are and what you say doesn't matter, and this is in your bag, guess what? You're eating it up. You're eating up their poison. How about this one? My way or the highway. Have you ever heard that one? You're chuckling because you know it. Maybe it's in your bag. Maybe it's in your bag. How about this one? I don't trust anybody. I got to do it all myself. The only one I trust is me. That's in my bag. Is it in yours? Well, I hope it's not in my bag. How about this one? There's something wrong with me. Is this in your bag? There's something wrong with me. If you believe there's something wrong with me and somebody comes up to you and says, there's something wrong with you, well, you're going to take it personally. Because at some level, you're believing it to begin with. If you didn't believe it, you'd be like, I don't know what they're talking about. I feel great. Right? How about this one? Things will never change for me. Things will never change for me. Is that in your bag? Things will never change for me. You can begin to see what I'm getting at here, don't you? I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. They did me wrong. It's their fault. They did me wrong. And when somebody comes up to you and starts spewing, and this is what you have in your bag, guess what? You're right there with resentments. You're right there with frustrations. You're right there with judgments and anger. It's all coming out of your bag. It's you who's carrying the bag, you see, not anyone else. It's your bag. But it doesn't have to be this bag. This bag is the bag of fear. This bag is the bag of fear. Fear of not enough, not being enough, not having enough, not doing enough, not loving enough, not being loved. All those things. It's the bag of fear. But we don't have to come from there. But we do, if we want to not take things personally, trust ourselves to be able to look in the bag and see. The question isn't, why are they doing this to me, but what am I carrying in my bag that's making me feel this way? What is it that I'm carrying that is not for me? What is it that I'm carrying that allows me to react in this way? What is that? That's really the question. If we trust ourselves enough, and if we're brave enough and courageous enough to look in the bag, we might decide that's not our bag. That's not the bag we want to be carrying. And we have an opportunity in that case to switch luggage. It's not like the carousel at the airport. You got to get your own bag. Your stuff's in it. But here we can switch it out. We can decide to come from the bag of love. Okay, oh, and all things pour out from it. It can't be contained. The bag of love, the stuff in it cannot be contained. Have you noticed? Look at the stuff that's in here. Oh my God. Here's what's in the bag of love that cannot be contained. All things are possible. You see it? That's in the bag of love. All things are possible. There's enough for everybody. Me included. There's enough for everybody. This is what's in the bag of love. Oh, here's a great one. I love this. I want it in my bag wherever I go. I matter. I matter. It's not always in our bag, though. I trust in God is in the bag of love. I trust in God. If someone comes up to me spewing anything out of their own bag, and I have this one in mine, like water on the back of a duck. Right? I trust in God. How about this one? I have what I need when I need it. I have what I need when I need it. I trust myself. I trust myself. I don't have to believe what somebody else says. I can trust myself. Right? This is what I have. Peace comes from within. Let me stop looking for it. You cannot find it unless it comes from within. And this one, there is always a way. There's always a way. Always. I want this one in my bag. I want this one in my bag. I want in my bag that I love my life. Just the way it is. It doesn't mean I don't want to do something else or attain something else or elevate myself in some way, but I'm saying I love it now. I love every inch of it now. And I deserve to be happy. I deserve it. I deserve to be happy. I deserve it. Peace, acceptance, joy, gratitude, all these are in the bag of love. And this is where I want to come from. And when I come from there, if that's what I have in me, no matter what anybody else says, it doesn't matter, because that is all about their bag, you see? It's about what they're carrying. And it has nothing to do with you. Nothing. So I want to share a story with you about these ideas. And it's a story of a young man. Last week I shared a story about several young people. And I think young people can motivate us. Because some of us older folks, we think, oh, that could never be me. I mean, these younger people are getting it. And they're getting it right early in their lives. And here's another example of someone who has done that. And it's a story of a young man named Carvel Anderson. This is from an article from NBC News back in December of 2013. So listen up. In 2009, NBC News profiled Carvel Anderson as part of the Elkhart Project, a year-long look at how the recession was affecting one hard-hit Indiana town. You might remember that. Back at the beginning of the recession. This was the RV capital of the world. Nobody had a job. Things were tough. And they wanted to see what would happen there. And they followed a couple people, and Carvel Anderson was one of them. He was in high school at the time. And when they met Carvel, it felt as though he was becoming nothing good. He was a classic lost cause, with a mother in prison and a father gone AWOL. He bounced between friends and family, where money was tight and guidance was rare. He didn't have a single college offer when the hats fell on graduation day. His mother was 14 years old when she had him, and he never met his father. His mother got into drugs, she had 2 more children by 2 more men, and by his freshman year in high school, he was living with his uncle. Soon they clashed over some money that he thought Carvel had stole, which he hadn't. So he ran away. And get this, no one came looking for him. He slept under a bridge next to a park where he played basketball. He stole a blanket from Kmart. He lifted food from the supermarket. He hid his predicament by using the bathroom at a local hospital and showering in his high school gym. Finally, after more than a month, his assistant basketball coach and his wife gave him some food, gave him a roof over his head, and a warm bed to start his junior year. But just when life began to stabilize for him, his mother was busted for cocaine trafficking, sentenced to jail. He moved in with his grandfather, but his grandfather tried to inspire him to dream big and pushed him toward being able to go to the University of Michigan and play basketball. But that stability fell apart too. And he was in his senior year, a time when many kids filled with beach trips and silly string fights, but that he passed with after-school work in an RV factory. He prayed for D's and celebrated C's. And even if his grades were good, his basketball game in tip-top shape, he would be working on the days that he might have been impressing college basketball recruiters. And by the end of his senior year, the University of Michigan had not come calling. It didn't happen. In the last home game of his high school basketball career, he walked to center court alone. But Anderson was never crushed by his problems. He wasn't consumed with blame and rage. And in fact, he relished the difficulty of it all. He relished the difficulty of it all. And here are some quotes from Anderson. He said, "Adversity is the best thing in life for me." He said, "I didn't get my strength from lifting weights. I got it from lifting myself up all of those times. Attitude matters more than circumstance. Doubters provide fuel for my life." He said, "I'm a very stubborn individual. As soon as someone told me that I didn't have a mom, so I was going to end up selling drugs or killed, the stubbornness in me just forced me to prove everybody wrong." And that summer, before he was even in college, he said, "Life is good. I think I like who I'm becoming." Well, Carvel did graduate from college, and today he's playing professional basketball in Italy. You can read about him in Wikipedia. How many other people are on Wikipedia? A few people? Yeah. He's in Wikipedia, and when I Googled his name, I got a full page of results. And then I got another page, and then I got another page, and then I got another page of results of Carvel Anderson. He said, "I love the person that Elkhart made me." He said, "I'm thankful for where I am now. My old highs are my new lows." Okay, so what do you think? Here's what came out of the bag of fear for Carvel. "You are becoming nothing good." Yeah, isn't that what people told him? That's what the article said. "You are a lost cause. You will never go to college. You will end up selling drugs and getting killed." This is what he heard. But no, guess what? He came from the bag of love about himself, of what he chose to believe or not believe about what other people were telling him. He came from that place. You heard him. He said, "Adversity is the best thing for me. Adversity is the best thing for me." That's what he said. He said, "Life is good. I think I like who I'm becoming." You want that in your bag? I think I like who I'm becoming. That's what Carvel's saying. "I love the person Elkhart made me. I love that adversity. I love it. Sleeping under the bridge and no one coming looking for me. I love that. I don't want to go back to it, but I love the opportunity that it gave me. I'm very stubborn. I will prove you wrong." Where did he get that? Not from the people outside of him. Attitude matters more than circumstance. That's what he said. Attitude matters more than circumstance. And he said, "I get my strength not from lifting weights, but from getting up time and time again. Let me get up one more time. Let me grow stronger. And I am certainly thankful for where I am now." You see, it's all up to you for you, as it was for Carvel. Which bag are you carrying? What's in the bag? You've heard about what's in your wallet. That's later. What's in your bag? What are you carrying? And are you brave enough to peek in, to look around, to recognize, "Oh, there it is again. I thought I got through that one. Here it is. What about that? Could I believe something greater about myself than what I'm telling myself or what others are saying? Can I become immune to the poison that other people spew? Can I decide not to eat their emotional garbage? Because if I can, when I go on a trip, off the carousel, I'm picking up this bag. I'm carrying this bag with me. This is what I want behind me, in front of me, all around me. And it's my choice. If I have the courage to take a peek, if I have the courage to claim something else, and to let the poison be where the poison is. So it's just one question. What's in your bag? Check it out. That's it.